Art, we can start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar in our project Learning from the Extremes is organizing. Today, we are very happy to introduce and present the concept of makerspace in our school. We will provide and explain all the steps with specific examples and what it is needed in order to operate a makerspace inside the classroom. Fortunately, we have our team of experts from Portugal, and especially Priscilla Doran, who will be most of the talking today. A familiar face, Rosa Doran, will be active also today, as always. So with no further ado, I'm very glad to give the mic to Priscilla Doran to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, Jose, if you want to say something first.
I'll just say welcome, everyone. Great to be here with you. We are going to do almost a forehand presentation today. So Priscilla will present, we'll make the presentation about a makerspace in your school, and I will interrupt whenever it's ready with your questions. So if you have a question, a comment, please don't hesitate. If you are not watching this live, you still can contact us. We will put here the link to the contact page of Learning from the Extremes. I'll ask Gustavo to please be kind enough to put our contacts there. And we are available to support you when you start creating your own makerspace. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. So Priscilla, the floor is yours.
Okay, I will start by sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, so my name is Priscilla, as I have been introduced, and I'm a collaborator for Nucleo. I have asked Rosa to stay active with me today so that you can make all your questions in the chat. And she will interrupt me anytime that she feels it's important, and I will answer your questions. So please do. I will start by asking you to write your country of origin in the chat so that we know who we are talking to and how many people, how many countries are with us today. And then Rosa will let me know. And please interact and ask her to interrupt me anytime you need. If you want me to talk slowly or if you want me to explain something further, please go ahead. Also, you have my contact here on my presentation, and you can contact me anytime if you need support. So I was asked to do this presentation because a few years ago, we started a collaboration with a STEM company called InnovLabs. And through this collaboration, an idea appeared of having a funding to create a makerspace. And we did this. And this picture you can see here is of our makerspace. And we are not just any makerspace. Of course, we do the same things that makerspaces for the community do. So we have some equipment that people can come to us and develop their projects. But we dedicate a lot of our time teaching people and working with schools, with teachers, with students. And this is what we want to share with you today. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the projects. A makerspace is a place of creativity, and there are no limits to creativity. I would have to spend days if I wanted to name all the ideas and all the solutions, but I will share a little bit of our experience and some tips that you can follow to create your own makerspace. No questions so far?
No, there's a delay between our transmission and YouTube, so I'll tell you if there are questions.
Okay. So just to make a brief introduction to our space, we do have some equipment to support schools in the community. We have 3D printers, we have a laser cutter and engraver, we have a CNC machine and a machine that cuts vinyl. I think it's how you say it in English. I will explain further in my presentation what these equipments are and how you can use them. We also have some electronics kits, some sensors, some microcontrollers, and a bunch of tools. I won't be able to name all of them. Not even I know the name, and some of them, not even I know how to use them. I have been learning. This has been a learning curve for all of us. But you can see the amount of tools and things that we have. And every day someone appears with something new that we have to try, which is the whole purpose of a makerspace, is to try and test and learn and make things. So what is a makerspace? If there wasn't a lag, I would allow you some time to make some answers. But because of this lag, I don't suppose we have time to wait for your answers on the chat. So I will go ahead. I think that a makerspace, obviously, is a space where people can make things, right? So people can explore different tools. Here we see a little kid dismounting some tools to create a robot. Here you see me very bravely, for the first time in my life, making a hole in a wall, which is a very scary experience, which is normal in a makerspace, and I've succeeded. Here is a kid just playing with clay. This is a student cutting some acrylic for a school project. This is a kid playing with cardboard to build a little dome. This is a kid playing with paints and ink. More students playing around and making things. So a makerspace has nothing to do with your space, has nothing to do with technology, with digital tools. It is more of a mindset. It's about what you can make with what you have. It's about solving problems with the resources that you have at your availability. So it's not so much about what should I buy, it's what should I do with what I have here and now. A makerspace could be the schoolyard with some nails and a hammer, for example. It doesn't really matter. It's the way that you view things and the way that you explore what you have in your availability. But if we do want to build a makerspace and we have funding, which is the case in this project, we can start with the basics of what you have in a makerspace. So the most basic tools should always be there, like screws, nuts, nails, a hammer, a net, everything you see here and everything more you can imagine. You can go to a shop, I don't know the names of international shops where you can buy building material, but you can go there and find the most basic tools and materials. And then you should have cardboard and acrylics and wood and plastics and all the leftovers. For example, in our makerspace, everyone gets mad at me because I don't want anyone to throw anything away. I think that everything is useful, so nothing goes to waste. And for example, these little earrings here, I don't know if you can see, they just require this much of leftover wood. So everything that you can save, and you can find a local commerce shop that usually throws away these things, and maybe they can give you the leftover materials. So everything is useful in a makerspace. Some other must-have tools for a school makerspace, I would say, is the soldering iron. All the projects that work with electronics will at some point need a soldering iron, and the workbench with a vise. It has been the most useful thing if you want to cut wood or if you want to make holes in things. It's very, very useful. Instead of having 5 people holding unsteadily, you can just have this and hold your material in place. Or if you glue something, you can put it in place and it will stay stable. Some other must-have tools are protection tools. This is very, 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 very important, especially in a school where kids from all ages can play around. So, for example, we were working with epoxy resin, and obviously we need gloves, we need a mask. And when I was making a hole in the wall, I should put my goggles and headphones to cancel the noise. If we are working with fire or with hot equipment or cutting tools, we should always use gloves. And sometimes you may need a robe, and other protection equipment should always be purchased. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay.
No.
Nothing.
And
But
then I think
just want to say that you have people here so far from Cyprus and Greece.
Oh, hi.
And Portugal, of course.
Cyprus, Greece, and Portugal. Thank you for contributing, for participating. Okay, so other must-have, in my opinion, in a makerspace, all kinds of thingies. And I say thingies because it's really thingies, like little buttons and clips and glitter and little hearts and feathers and inks and paints. Everything that allows you to be creative should be there. And you will see that at some point, these things will be used. So you always should have a little drawer with all of those things inside. And the more color they have, the more fun they are to use and the more creative people get when using them. So I'm going to give you examples of other equipment that you can have based on also what we have, okay? So for example, I will start with electronics kits. These kits are very, very useful. Obviously, when you are developing projects using electronics, you should have this material. But these kits are also very good for learning and just for exploring how electronics work. So our kits are composed of wires, of connectors, a breadboard. Do you see my mouse moving? No, right?
Yes, yes, we can.
Oh, you see, okay. So this is a breadboard. This is a little motor. This is a little fan. Here you have LED lights, the resistors, I think in English is how you say, some batteries, the wires, and some other tools. And this allows us to understand how electronics works. And from my experience, people tend to run away from electronic circuits, electronics. They think it's very, very complicated. I was one of such people. And many people come to our workshops and they say, oh, I saw you had a workshop about this, but this is not for me, it's too complicated. And then when you actually learn how it works, it's very, very simple. And it's a whole world to explore. And for example, look at the faces of these two kids. This was not even a month ago. We made a workshop about introduction to electronics in a park, and they just connected this little fan to this motor and to the battery, and it was amazing. Their faces just light up by seeing something move from a circuit that they created. So these kits are very durable. The kids can play with them and then put them in place again, and then some other students can come in and play with them and learn. And I think, in my opinion, it's a must-have in a makerspace. Clear so far?
Clear, but you have more participants from Portugal, and Demetrius Lazaro is saying, thank you, Priscilla, and congrats on the hole on the wall. Maybe you will speak later, but what is the difference between the makerspace and a design and technology laboratory?
A makerspace and the design, well, I don't know what the design and technology laboratory is in specific, but I would say that a makerspace is not just about design or technology, it's about everything. It's a place where you can come and make anything with the resources that you have there, even if it doesn't include technology or digital components, for example. But I guess it always depends on the way you run your place. They can act as the same thing or they can act as something different. But if you want to clarify your question more, if I didn't answer, please feel free to do so. And thank you for the congratulations. I'm very proud. So some examples of projects that we have done using our electronic kits. But in this case, they weren't reusable, so the kids used them and brought them home with them. This is one of the examples. It is the painter robot, as we call it. So this is just a used cup, a paper cup. The kids glued some colorful pens to it. They also glued a little motor with hot glue, and they put a cork, you know, from the wine. You take the cork, and they put it there, and then they just connect it to some batteries. And when it turns on, the motor starts rotating and the cork is there, so it makes the cup wobble and the robot starts painting. So it's something really simple. The kids learn how the electronic circuit works. As you see here, this kid is just experimenting with the two wires on the motor and seeing the motor going around. And these were kids from 3 to 5 years old. So they were really, really small kids. And they understood how batteries can give charge to a little, and then they saw the robots painting, and it was very, very fun for them and a very meaningful way to learn. And then they took their robots with them. Something else that we can create with electronics, and that's really fun, it's a sonometer. So this is a microbit. It is a programmable microcontroller with many functions. But one of them is to sense sound. And then you can join it to LED wire, LED strips, for example, or this little thing that was bought in Keytronic from the UK. And I brought it for you to see that the programming done by kids turned it into a sonometer. Ooh, ooh. You see, so the louder the sound, the LEDs turn from green to yellow and then to red. And this is a project that teachers especially like, because instead of telling their students that they are being very loud, they can have a sonometer placed in the class, programmed and built by the students, and the students just have to see the lights and they understand if they are being too noisy or not. And it's very fun to use. And you can make it the size that you want. You can do this little thing, but you can build something that goes from one side to the other of the classroom with just a LED strip, for example. You do have to buy LEDs that are NeoPixels or programmable LEDs, okay? Not all LED strips will allow for this. If you see here, you have 3 cables. So one is for the positive and one is for the negative. And then you have one that brings the programming, the code. And you must have this third connection, okay? Otherwise, it will not work. So we did a collaboration with the LEDs project as well. And students were playing around with this microbit. So first they learned the basics of it. For example, you see an N here. This allows you to forever display your name, for example. Or you could draw a little heart and it would always display a little heart. And the microbit has sensors for many things like sound, light, movement, acceleration, I think even magnetic fields. So you can do programming with lots of input. And in this case, our students learn how to program digital effects for their students. So the first step was learn how to use and program with microbit. And then we built a silhouette using our laser machine. And they started experimenting with different effects. I don't know if it's very clear from the presentation that whenever it moves up and down the y-axis, the lights have a special effect. And this is very meaningful for them because they are performers. They do aerial performance. So they do have a lot of movement. And then they tried it on themselves. This is all done with the microbit. The microbit stays here. And then they see what they programmed. And you can see their faces. They are so happy. And this makes it much more meaningful because it's not something that we just give to them. They know how it works and they chose the effect. We also had a festival, a science festival, and everybody wanted to use the LED strips and they wanted to just jump around the festival. So you do see it is rewarding to work on these things with the students. Some other projects that you can have and are very, very easy to implement. For example, a meteorological station. So you just have a breadboard where you can make the connections. This is a Raspberry Pi Pico, which is easy to buy and is very cheap. This is a sensor that senses humidity and temperature of the air, and then an LCD screen that tells you the temperature and the humidity of the environment. You plug it into the electricity and it works. You just need a little bit of coding that you can find online in many different places. This is the same thing. However, this one can also use batteries. So it has a controller of energy and uses Arduino Nano, which is a different microcontroller, but basically it tells temperature and humidity. And in this case, everything is just in an old piece of wood. And you can see all the connections. Some other equipment that we have 3D printers. So these ones work with resin, which is not so common in schools, but you can also purchase one. The way it works is you pour the resin inside, you input your design from the computer, and then there is a UV light that solidifies the resin in the shape that you design. And the outcome is very, very smooth. So you can make very little and very detailed pieces. And then you have the 3D printers that most commonly exist everywhere with the filaments. And you can buy PLA and PETG, which are the cheapest and more easy to use in schools. But you have many other types of filaments. And you have many different brands of 3D printers. again, all of this information is very, very well detailed online. So,
The Metros is asking, are the projects designed and structured by the teacher, or can children go in the makerspace and make anything they want with available tools, materials? So maybe one session means multiple projects.
This, if we are talking about schools, the teachers should decide, but in our case, students can come and develop any project they want, as long as we have the equipment and the tools necessary to do that. And when we are doing teacher training, we try to motivate teachers to give the most freedom possible for the students to decide what they want to do, how they want to do it, and which equipment they want to use. So the more diversity we have in a project, we believe the richest the project is, because the more skills the students are developing. But of course, in some cases, the teachers already know what they want to do, so the students will just follow what the teacher said. It is possible to do it both ways. Also, in our case, we are open to the community, so anyone can come to us and say, I have this project, I want to use this material, and I want to use this equipment, and we support in that. We give training on all of it. So, projects using 3D printers. Usually, the 3D printers are used as parts of projects, and the projects aren't done completely just using the 3D printers, because they take a long time to produce things, to print, and also because they are very useful to build small parts that complement other projects. For example, this is a windmill that will be integrated in a project about sustainable energies, where the students really did the electronic circuits, and they didn't want to buy an already made windmill, so they created their own in the 3D modeling, and then they printed it. And this is actually their school's 3D printer. It isn't ours. But then you can also do things just using the 3D printer. For example, these two very, very scary characters are from the Star Wars, and they are chess pawns. So you could have a whole game of chess with 3D printed designs made by you and your students. Then here we have a constellation and the surface of the moon. And this is a very valuable project because it allows visually impaired and blind students to feel the textures of how the moon looks and how the constellations look in the sky. So this is a project where the 3D printer could be the main character of the project. And then you can have all the designs you want. For example, this is a design that I made. It is a spoon holder because I was cooking and I needed to put my spoon somewhere, and I was spilling the food all over my counter, and I thought, oh, I need a spoon holder. So why not create one myself? And this is the whole point of having a makerspace. You can create your own things and give your put your creativity into place. And I love whales, so why not make a whale and a spoon holder together? And this is what you see when you are modeling in a computer. And then this is how the outcome comes. Another idea here that we designed was the solar system to scale. This was just a little test. You can see here the 3D printer working, and a design like this takes hours to print in a 3D printer. It is a very time-consuming thing, but the outcome looks awesome, so it is worth it. Okay, so far?
Okay, so far, I just would like to stress what Priscilla just said, the solar system to scale. You heard me saying this before, and I need to repeat it again. It is really to scale, and the sun is actually the base where all the other the planets are appearing. It's super nice.
This is the sun, and here are the smaller planets you don't really see from this angle. And this is also a very meaningful project because when you go online many times, you don't see the solar system to scale. And it is a very humbling experience to see that we are not as big as we usually think that we are. So it's a good project to bring this awareness to students. And they are learning multiple skills like modeling and geometrical figures, astronomy, 3D printing, design. It's very interdisciplinary always. So we also have a CNC machine, and as you can see, it is huge. But you do have other options for machines that are smaller. And there's one machine called SnapMaker, and I think you have other brands, where it's a 3-in-1. So it is a 3D printer, which turns into a CNC machine, which also turns into a laser cutting machine, and it is desktop side. So I am presenting our equipment. You always have smaller and cheaper alternatives or other designs and other brands, okay? So this is ours. The way it works, I understand that this is a machine that the teachers know less about. It is not so common, but as you saw me drilling the wall, the little drill is what you see here. So you do your design on the computer, you send it into a program, you calculate the path that the drill will have, and you can create all sorts of designs. For example, we created this mandala here, and you can see a time lapse of the drill working. So of course we had to make the design of the mandala, and then we had to calculate the deepness, how deep we wanted the drill to go, and make different levels of elevation in the mandala. And this is a very, very precise work. So this is the benefit of having a CNC machine, is the level of precision with which you can cut and create your design. And it is very, very noisy, very messy. You have to have a vacuum cleaner to clean all of it, but it is very worth it. So we created the mandala, and we decided to use it for another very, very cool project with video mapping. So video mapping, for those who don't know, is a projection. But instead of using a normal projector that projects into a wall, you use a projector that is designed to find the specific places you want it to project on. So you can choose it to project on a little circle and not all around it, or in a mandalas, for example. So we created the mandalas, we sanded the mandalas, because in some materials you do need to have this extra step to make it perfect. We painted it because they were meant for a projection. So we painted white in the places where we wanted the projection to go, and black where we didn't want. And then we tested this project in a science fair. We built it, put them on the wall, and then we projected into them. So as you can see here, the projection is just on the mandalas and not on the wall around it. And then we added our logo. And this is how it turned out in the end. This is the visual effects that were programmed. You can program whatever visual effects you want. The program that we use is called Lightform, and you can search for it, and you have many other solutions online for video mapping. And you can design lights like we did, but you can also put words, sentences. It is a really nice way for students to make an exhibition of what they have learned from a research project, or I don't know, you can have as many ideas as you want, and the visual effect is really, really nice. Other projects using the CNC machine. You can see here, this is a work in progress. It is a solar powered car that will participate in a race. And this wood was cut in the CNC machine. So sometimes it's not about just art or making something that is visually appealing. It is also about something that is useful. And in this case, you see the detailed way and the very precise way in which it was cut. So the students made the design that they wanted for their car, and they cut it on the CNC machine. This allows for a very precise work, but also each student can have a different design, which is also very, very cool. Finally, another project, which is also the solar system to scale. This time we are not using the 3D printer, we are using the CNC machine. The planets were cut in wood that we have, leftover wood, so we were just recycling it. And then you can see my colleague David here with the Earth on one hand and Jupiter on the other, and showing the difference in the size. And you don't really see, you can see kind of a smile, because kids get really surprised when they see that we are so small. And as I said, this is a very humbling experience, and I think it is worth it. And you can create your solar system to scale and just have it in your living room and teach everyone that comes in there. And then, as I said, the project ideas are so many. I could spend the whole day here talking just about 10% of the ideas. But if you write CNC projects on Google, you will see many different educational, artistic, gaming, furniture, everything that you can make. The CNC machine is very versatile. We can create furniture like chairs and benches and tables. You can create your own tables for your own makerspace. And you can do arts, you can do games, you can do musical instruments with your students as well. So there are lots of functionalities. I do suggest that you search a little bit about it. Okay, so we get to our laser machine. Again, this is ours, but you have many other brands and you have many other sizes. Okay, ours is big because we have a lot of room. So a laser machine is a machine where you can cut and engrave wood, acrylics, leather, stone, metal. Here you see an example of wood. You see the laser there. So basically whatever the laser touches, it burns. So it looks like it is painted. And then with more power, it cuts. So the way it works, you see the kid here again, making the design on the computer. Any vector design program works, like Inkscape, GIMP, Illustrator, Photoshop, any other free source or whatever project, whatever software you want to use works. And then you pass your design into the program of the laser, and then you have to operate it so that it cuts or engraves whatever you have designed. And here are just some examples. For example, this girl, she drew her favorite tattoo in a paper, and then we put it as a vector in the program, and she built her own necklace. Here is a ring, earring, another earring in acrylic. This is a spinner. This here was my first attempt of trying just a paper in the laser cutting machine to see if it works. And I think it turned out a beautiful butterfly, full of flaws, and my colleagues forced me to throw it away because it was so full of flaws. But I think it's beautiful, and it's amazing the fact that you can do this on just a normal 80-gram paper. It goes to this level of precision. This one was, for example, a prototype for a swinging elephant for kids. This one is this size, and it was made in a laser cutting machine just to see if the design works. And because it works, the person will come in again, and then we will do real size using the CNC machine. So this is very useful to make prototypes. Here were two LED lamps created by people that just came to our makerspace. So this is a logo of a company. And this here is where the laser engraved and then the laser cut. This one is the Spirit of the Forest from a Miyazaki movie. And here you see all the dots and lines. This was the laser engraving, and then it cut all the lines. So the only thing you have to learn is how to work with the vectors to do this, and it is a skill that is very easily developed. And this is also just another idea. This is a little, I don't know the name in English, but it's meant for you to put a picture. So it goes to really a lot of detail, and the laser machine has many, many, many good uses. Here, more specifically, as a school project, we received, these were first, second, and third grade students. They were making a project about animals in extinction, and they wanted to create something to bring awareness for the community. So they drew their animals on paper and pen, and they came to us to learn how to pass it into the computer, to vector it, turn it into a vector, and then print it on wood. And we took the advantage to teach them how to edit their images. So they learned how to turn it into a vector. And the moment it turns into a vector, you can paint it, digitally paint it. And they had so much fun. They loved their design so much. They forced us to print it so that they could bring it home. And I think that's the more rewarding part, is to see how their brains light up seeing things happening. And then they took home their designs in wood. Not home, sorry, they took it to the school to finish their project. I think their idea is to put it on a wall in the school with the different earth environments and show to the community we have to protect these animals because they are endangered. So this has value for the community as well. Another school project that used the laser machine, it is actually about something similar. It is called The Ocean Also Wants to Live. So the students created some avatars to bring awareness for the fact that the ocean wants to live and that we have to respect and protect the ocean. So they made their designs. They put it in the computer. They scanned it, their designs into the computer. They cut using old cardboard. So they reused cardboard from other works and they turned them into magnets. And when they were presenting their projects, they said, we give one magnet to everyone who listens to our presentation from the beginning to the end. And they distributed their magnets this way. Here you can see their drawings. And this is the magnet. They produced hundreds of them. And finally, another school project using the laser cutting machine. This one is in collaboration with the project Click Polit. The idea of the students, and these are older students, is to create a prototype of a city that has quality lighting system, light bulbs that do not cause light pollution, because light pollution is bad not only for the ecosystem, but also for human health. So the first step was to draw on the computer the building and the streets, and then they cut with our laser machine. Next, they will design the LED lamps, they will do the electric circuits with the microcontrollers, but the first phase was actually to use the laser cutting machine, which is, it is better to use it than just cardboard because the prototype is more durable. They can transport this prototype everywhere, they can even travel with it, dismount it and mount it again, and it is very durable. Yes, Rosa, do we have any questions?
No questions at the moment, please. You can continue. Just more people joining us.
Good, welcome. So other equipment that you can have in your makerspace is a computer, a good computer for multimedia, for example, and students can use this. You know, every student nowadays wants to be a YouTuber, right? And there's no more perfect place to learn about video editing and making quality videos than in school. And we can use this new passion to actually teach them good skills. And we had two different projects. These are the ones that created the magnets. And their presentation was actually recorded by them on their cell phones. And they come to us to learn how to edit their videos. I don't have a recording here, just the pictures, but just to show that these ones made interviews with each other and they edited the video to make a final one. But the other group actually created those backgrounds. These are just two, but I think they created like 10 different backgrounds, and they used Play-Doh and they did a stop motion movie. So this is a whole other skill that they learned, taking pictures with their phones. And then they had to learn how to cut and edit and make video. And this is another skill that they learned. And a makerspace can give them the chance to explore these skills as well if it has proper computers and the proper room to do so. So now I am going to just talk about some projects that you can also do that use multiple of these equipment, which is also always more rich. So this is a student. He did this by himself during his holidays, and then he just came to present to us. So this is a smart robot that has sensors for obstacles. And he used electronics, he used 3D printing to print some parts. He used sensors, microcontrollers, and he didn't use the CNC machine, but I added here that he could have used a CNC machine or a laser cutting machine to make this structure that you see in yellow. He could have made it. I suppose he bought it. But if he wanted to go a step further, he could have made the whole design if he wanted in our makerspace and print it himself. Students can also do low-cost computers, for example. So as you see, all of this structure is cut in a laser machine. So the students can learn how to draw in a computer in a vector way the components of the boxes. This is a box that opens. There's a drawer where you can put whatever you want to put. And this is a Raspberry Pi. which is a computer in itself. So they just have to figure out what they need, which is an LCD screen, a power bank to give energy to the computer, or they can just plug it in, and a Raspberry Pi and make the connection. The interesting part is this is a very low cost computer, and it is much more meaningful if it is built by them, drawn by them. And this is a very standard design. But I tell you, if you give the opportunity for students to make their own designs, we get surprised by the creativity that they have, and you would see awesome computers, I'm really sure. Another project that is very, very interesting is a shelf that is also a watch. So you put this is laying down on a table, but you put it on your wall, and you can put your things there, like a cup, a flower, some books if you want. But at the same time, it is a watch. So if you see here, it is 3 o'clock and 16 minutes. And how this is made, all of these parts are made in a 3D printer. And then you glue the LED strips, and you have to connect them through with the soldering iron. One strip connects to the other, that connects to the other, that connects to the other. It is very hard working, but it is worth it. And then you have an Arduino Nano, which is a microcontroller. You plug it into a computer, you make the code. You can find the code online. Again, you don't have to imagine it. If you don't want, you can just find it online. And then you unplug it from the computer and you have a clock. It is a very cool project. Another project that I don't know if you can find online or not, because this one was designed by us, but we can give you all the steps if you want, is the interplanetary scale. And I'm sorry that I do not have better pictures, but I can explain. This is the scale, like the ones you put yourself on top of to see your weight. It is made with an Arduino inside, and you can see all the wires. We made it open like this, and then we put an acrylic so that everyone can see the connections inside. You put yourself on it, and the first weight it gives you is your normal weight on Earth. And then you click on a button, and you see your weight on the moon, and then on the other planet. And below, you have 4 sensors of weight that are connected to the microcontroller. We found the electric circuits online, so we just followed the step by step. And then we programmed it to make the conversions of our weights into the different gravity of the different planets. And this is so gratifying to see people using it. Once we were in an event with politicians from the municipality, and they made a line just to go one by one into our interplanetary scale to see their different weights on the different planets. And it was very fun to use. They seemed like little kids, having so much fun exploring their weights on the other planets. And again, this uses electronics, and it uses the laser machine. We made the design of the scale, and we cut it on our laser, and then we engraved our logotypes, the name. So schools can do this, and they can engrave their logos, they can make a little sentence, they can make a drawing, they can do whatever they want, and make it adapted to their own designs. The other one is the solar car. You can see here, this was 2 years ago, I think, or even last year. They participated in the race. So we have a race in June in Portugal, and each school creates their own car from scratch. So there's no initial kit, there's nothing. They have to create their own solar powered car. And this uses many different skills. So here is the board that was cut on the CNC machine. And then you have to glue the iron with the soldering, but this is heavy soldering, not electric one. And then they have made some designs to 3D print to make some connections, as you see here. And they also did, I don't remember how this is called in English. I don't remember, but they did this also in the laser cutting machine. So this involves so many skills, from learning how sustainable energies work to designing the car and building the car. And I ask you, do you think it is different to sit in a table or read a book or watch a movie that explains how solar energy works, or to build a car where you have to actually learn how it works to make it work so that you can participate in a race and maybe even win? I think we learn much more this way. It is much more fun and much more gratifying this way. They learn so many different skills, and teachers can work together from different disciplines to put this into place. And again, you can find a lot of support online. This was an aquatic rove. This one wasn't fully developed by us, but the students came to us to use our space and to use our tools. So they created this aquatic device that went into the water to measure the water pH, the temperature, the salinity, and some other parameters that I'm not sure exactly which ones were, but they built it from scratch as well, using electronics, using a microcontroller, and they had to cut all the pieces in our makerspace. They had to use the soldering iron, they had to make the connection. They learned a lot just by creating this. And they are still using it to collect data because this is very durable as well. Another very easy to do project is the meteorological station I showed you before that was just using electronics. And this one involves more skills because we wanted to create a box for it to have it protected. So we designed in 3D, actually a student designed the box in 3D modeling and printed it. And then we also designed this little piece here of acrylic that allows it to breathe and also allows people to look inside and see how it is built inside. So this was cut and engraved by our laser machine. Here you see the sensor and all the cables connecting it to the microcontroller. Actually, this is not a microcontroller, it is a Raspberry Pi, but for a meteorological station, it could actually just be a microcontroller. And this one doesn't have an LCD screen. People just use a QR code and it appears on their phone. And this is how it looks inside. This one is similar, but instead of having a sensor, it is connected to the internet through Wi-Fi. Again, it is a Raspberry Pi Pico, which is easy to acquire these days. And it is stylized with Lego, which is also a very fun thing to have in a makerspace. Leftover Legos from the kids' homes, from our homes, and it makes it more fun to have our circuit. This is another project by school. So this is one of the groups that are participating in our teacher trainings. It is a collaboration between mathematics, sciences, visual education, and language. And their focus is on creating a Mediterranean food pyramid game. So they are building the pyramid here with the wires. And this teacher was also very afraid, like I was when I was making a hole in the wall. She was for the first time using the drill to make a hole in the wood. And they also made the design to put the cards. So the students made the drawings of the food and passed them into the computer. And in the computer, they colored it. They are going to print and plastify, and they are going to put them in these little holders that the teachers did using our laser. And then the kids will have to know where each food goes on the pyramid. And this will be in the school. The community will be invited, and they will teach good nutrition habits, because the Mediterranean diet is considered to be the healthiest. Here we have a smart home kit. You can purchase it. This one in specific, if you want a complete one, you can find it through your browser. You just write microbit smart home kit and you can acquire it. And it comes with many different components that use microbit and allow you to control your house through Wi-Fi. So this was a professional course. The students really had to learn communication systems through Wi-Fi, and this was very useful. But one step ahead would have been for them to design their own houses instead of using one that came in a kit. They could have made the drawings themselves and then cut them in the laser and make their own designs. They could make a building, they could make houses in whatever shape they wanted to. And it involves many different skills, obviously. This one is about seismology. So the students wanted to test which types of buildings would stand an earthquake better than others. So they created a simulation of an earthquake, and they put a microbit to measure the oscillations of the table in the x-axis and in the y-axis. And then they 3D printed, actually they 3D modeled and printed two types of bridges to see which one is more strong towards an earthquake. And their idea is to make this study and then bring it into the community to tell the people how to build houses, what they should consider, and they will also prepare an evacuation plan. They made a drone fly through the school to see the pathways of the school, and they will make an evacuation plan to share with the school community.
Priscilla, there is a question here from Demetrius as well. How are you being funded to provide all this equipment and support? Also, are your services free for everyone who comes to your makerspace?
So if you are talking about change makers, it all started with the funding opportunity that we had. Obviously, that is why I'm showing you the equipment that we have. That is good equipment. It is big and it is very professional. And through this funding, we are able to offer free teacher training that we are doing for over 50 teachers now. And in the framework of this training, students and teachers can come and use our equipment completely for free. And we also offer workshops every week, one workshop per week to the community, and it is free, and the people can use our equipment, and they can also use our materials in this framework. However, because the funding is limited, we cannot offer free usage for everyone. So we do have a table of prices, if you want to see in our website, for whoever wants to come. They will have access to our expertise. We will support in the creation of the designs. We support in the usage of the machines, which is a service we offer for free, and use our machines for a price, because of course we have to pay for the electricity for the machine. But our vision is always to acquire more funding so that we can offer this to the community, especially to the schools. Any other questions?
No, that was the only one.
Okay. So these are the ideas that I brought to you with specific examples from our work, but you have many others. You can do water quality stations, air quality stations. You can make lights that open when you do this and they turn off when you do this. You can work with intelligent house systems, planetariums, games. I added here a link if you want to take a picture of it, and you can access it, where you can find very low cost projects that you can do with the young children that I think are very fun, and I myself want to try them all. So I advise you to go and see. And I could, as I said, spend the whole day talking to you about ideas, but I'm sure you have your own ideas and you can find more ideas online. So I'm just leaving you a few resources. You have Tinkercad. Tinkercad is the platform where you can go and very easily create your own 3D models. And you have the possibility also to simulate circuits. So like I was saying, you can create your circuit and lighten up a LED. Instead of trying yourself and burning your resistors, you can do it online and you can do it with your students. You can simulate even if you don't have the equipment, and they can learn, and it is really fun. And you can also find a repository full of projects, and some of them are specific for education. So I advise you to go and to see, and you can also share your projects with the community here. You have the Microbit Make Code Microbit platform from Microsoft, where you can go and simulate your code with Microbit. The fun thing about this platform is that you don't actually need to have a Microbit. You have a simulator on your left side on the platform, and whatever code you do, it simulates immediately on the left side. So you can learn even before you acquire your own Microbit. You can learn how to program in JavaScript or in Python, and you can also publish your projects so that anyone in the world can use it. Also, you have a lot of easy to follow tutorials. Like here, you can learn how to make a dice. You can learn so many different things. You just click on it and it gives you a step-by-step hands-on approach, which is really fun to follow. Very easy to learn. And then you have the Microbit website, where you have the repository of the projects that people have created and shared, and where you will probably find yours as well. And the really fun thing about this, you can create your own classroom. You give a code to your students, and you can give them different codes, and you can give them challenges, and you can see real time what each student is doing. And when they finish the challenge, they click, I have finished, and you see their work. So you should also try this. Even if you don't have microbit, it's all online as a simulation. If you have a microbit, you just connect it to the computer, and you immediately see the programming you have done happening physically on your microbit. So I leave you here a little challenge. If you want, you can do a print screen here. This is a little coding that I have done through blocks, which is very easy, that tells the microbit that when the sound level is lower than 100, the LED light will be a rainbow. Whenever it is less than 200 but more than 100, it will be indigo color. And whenever it is, whatever is different than these two options, it will be always red. So you can just play around with the sound here, and you'll see immediately here happening. Or if you do have a LED strip with you, you will see it happening real time. You do have to click on extensions and search for NeoPixel. It's written here. Then you have the Ultimaker Thingiverse. This is a repository of projects that people created, experimented, and that worked. You will see designs for 3D printing, laser cutting, and there's a whole section dedicated to education. You can search here the age and the subject domain, and this gives you the already prepared files to put in the machine. You have the instructables, which are step-by-step instructions for many different projects. You also have a section dedicated to teachers and to education. And you also have Pixabay, which is a repository of royalty-free pictures, illustrations, and vectors that you can use in your project. And you have many others, but this is the one that I use, and I find everything I need here. And finally, a very, very good resource that I do recommend is the ChatGPT or another OpenAI program that you have to use. You have to be careful when you use it, because it might give you some incorrect information. But if you use it to just have creative ideas, to support you with your codes, to help you solve problems, it is a very, very good tool. And I have actually asked it, if you see here, are you a good resource for a makerspace? And it agrees that it is a very good support. So please do give it use if you need. So just to finalize my presentation, I want to say a makerspace is not only a place to make things, it is a place to learn and to teach. And you can learn so many different things. And when I say you, I mean you teachers, not just the students. I am always constantly learning. You can learn vector design. This was a workshop where we created the landscape only using a program called Inkscape. You can learn and teach the community about 3D printing. You can learn to operate the equipment. You can learn the potential that it has in your life. You can learn about electronics and programming and so many other skills. This is one of the most beneficial things of a makerspace, is the part of learning and teaching through it. So allow students to teach each other. This is very meaningful, seeing students teaching each other and inviting the community. They can invite their parents and they can teach their parents about the new skills that they have developed. And to create a makerspace, just thinking why you should create a makerspace, I think I have said so much about it already, but I think it opens up our brains. It fosters our creativity. We develop so many skills that we cannot even count which ones were, how much we have developed. It is very fun to develop our projects and learn through them. You know, it is a much more meaningful way to learn if you can use your makerspace to enhance your classes. And I think it gives your students a better chance of finding their passions and thus of succeeding in life. So what should you do to establish a makerspace? Just have the right mindset, collaborate with your colleagues. You don't have to do it alone. Allow yourself to try new things and to make mistakes. And do not think that you need to know how to do everything, because all the guidelines are online and you are learning with your students. You don't have to teach them. You can learn together with them. And of course, establish partnerships. If you want, we can be partners. Just contact us. We will support. Find the enterprises around your school. I'm sure many other enterprises will be willing to participate in your makerspace. And remember that we can hear and we forget, we can see and we remember, but we do understand when we make. This is when we really learn. And this is it for me.
Thank you, Pri. That was amazing presentation. I myself am just getting up and going to the makerspace, start doing a few things myself. I just, as a first information, Demetris and some other people are saying amazing projects, Priscilla. Thank you indeed. Very interesting ideas. Thank you for the resources as well. So I think the webinar is being appreciated. I would like to say that Priscilla is going to be with us in the Learning from the Extreme Summer School, and we will try to convince her to bring some of these goodies for us to play there. So be careful what you wish for. You know, she might bring us all out of our comfort zone. I would like also to tell you that the upcoming webinars, I think Gustavo just posted the link there. So you have the link. We have webinars coming in the next few weeks, several interesting ones. You are in the Learning from the Extremes YouTube channel, so maybe you can consider subscribing this channel. And I also like to say that the presentation that Priscilla just did will be uploaded in the resources, resource part of the LFE community in the School of the Future, in the LFE portal. So you will find this PowerPoint with all the links and information available. And I think from my side is also all, and I give the floor to Nikos.
Thank you both. I would like to thank everyone that was with us this Wednesday afternoon, the colleagues from all around Europe. Special thank you to Priscilla, Rosa, and Gustavo. As Rosa said, the series of LFE webinars continues throughout May and in June. And be sure to watch our next steps on the website that it was posted on the in the chat and on the platform. And as Rosa said, everything is recorded and will be uploaded in our YouTube channel and also in the community of the platform. That's all from myself also. Again, thank you to all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.